Hello, guys. Welcome to my second part of the audiobook series. Well, you can call it third part, but I accidentally stopped recording on the first part, so that is why I made the continuation for those of you who are confused. So this is part two, and if you watch my Arsenal video, I am sorry for the bad audio. Yeah, I'm gonna improve. Here's a tip I learned from personal experience. Turn off the sounds when you're playing a video game. Gosh. Alright, so anyways, I will continue the audiobook series right now. So let's just jump right into it. Her ears better be careful. When Steve finds out about this, and he will. When Steve finds out about this, and he will, he's gonna explode like a mountain made of TNT. And not just any mountain made of TNT, but one inhabited by creepers. Boom Mountain. It makes the Nether look like a flower forest. Anyway, what am I doing thinking about Yerf and Boom Mountain? Today was a big day. Max came up with a clever plan to earn the emeralds we need to buy new record books. It was pretty simple. 1. Max cooked up a story about an Enderman who wants to be a professional swimmer and is willing to pay 500 emeralds for a potion of water resistance, so he doesn't burn while in the water. After hearing about the Enderman, kids at school freaked out. After they wanted to brew that potion, kids kept bugging the brewing teacher about it. How do I craft one? Okay. There you go. How do I craft one? What's the secret recipe? And so on. Max and I dug up most of the sand around the village. You need sand to make glass, and glass to craft bottles, and bottles to brew potions. Yesterday we spent hours crafting bottles and set up a stand to sell them. Bottles, 7 emeralds per stack. Runt, Stump, Max. Stump wasn't interested in setting bottles, but he brought a bunch of cakes. He didn't sell many, and I'm so glad he didn't. Because an hour after we set up our stand, we were so swamped with customers. There was no way we could even take a lunch break. Stump's cakes were the only food we had. Even if we had remembered to bring lunches, our inventories were too clogged with bottles. Within an hour, we made 21 emeralds. A bunch of other kids just stood around, though, asking us to lower our price. What can I say? Villagers will be villagers. I had that creepy feeling that someone was watching me again, which was strange because, obviously, a lot of people were watching me. I wonder why I had that feeling. Anyway, it seemed we were going to make the 100 emeralds we needed. Sadly, things never come easy for me, and today was no exception. There was a shout nearby. You've got to be kidding me. It was Pebble. Finest quality bottles. He called out, only 6 emeralds per stack. Get them while you can, folks. People rushed over to his little stand. A flood of cries, shouts, and elbows through the crowd. I saw Pebble give me a wink. Urgh! What a copycat! His bottle stand was like a smaller version of ours. All he did was copy us. And now for a slightly lower price. What a poo screamer. I put up a new sign. Bottles, 5 emeralds per stack. Boom. That'll fix him, I thought. In response, Pebble dropped his price to 4. Bottles, 4 emeralds per stack. So we went to 3, then he went to 2. It was a price war. Bottle Mart versus Dork Depot. Finally, I dropped our price to 1 emerald per stack. There is no way he could go any lower. Right? he'd have to match our price, and we'd get half the customers, right? I couldn't believe what that punk did next. Bottles free. Seriously? I'm gonna herd, I thought. Yeah, I can definitely feel a big one coming on. Okay, calm down. Calm down. I stood there until I no longer had the urge to herd. Then an idea suddenly hit me, like a lightning hitting a pig and turning it into a zombie pigman. Except, I'm not a zombie pigman. I'm not a pig either. Gah, never mind. Anyway, my idea was this. I had managed to peek at Pebbles' record book earlier. By doing that, I learned his weakness. You see, his crafting score is his lowest score. Brewing is a sub-skill of crafting, which means he doesn't know how to brew very well. Why does that matter? It will become clear soon enough. I turned to my friends. Max, go to school and grab a brewing stand. Stump, go to my room and grab 2 nether warts, 2 rabbit's feet, and a water bucket. Oh, and a pinch of glowstone dust. Looking at their faces, you would have thought I just invited them to a slumber party in the nether or something. Huh? Why? Because it's time to humiliate our competition, I said. And don't forget the glowstone. Away they went. I left our bottle stand and walked into the crowd. Everyone, if I may have your attention, I called out. It seems there's only one way to determine who has the highest quality bottles. A brew-off! People turned to me with confused looks. A brew-off? Her? What's that? It's like a dance-off, I said, except with brewing, not dancing. A competition! The crowd broke into low murmurs. First excitement, laughter, even a few cheers. Pebbles scowled and pushed through the crowd. So it's a brew-off you want, eh, buddy boy? You don't have a brewing stand. Then someone cleared his throat. Ahem. Max was standing behind Pebble, brewing stand in hand. He must have sprinted the whole way. He set it down between Pebble and me. I smirked. You were saying? Beads of sweat formed across Pebble's brow. Well, you know you need more than just a brewing stand. You need ingredients too. Want to brew rare potions, do ya? Grr. He can laugh all he wants, I thought. But if my idea works, he's going to be the laughing stock of the whole school. Thankfully, Stump showed up moments later with all the ingredients and a water bucket in hand. Here you go, Captain. Looks like we have everything we need, I said, looking Pebble in the eye. Pebble swallowed nervously and wiped his brow. Well, yes, he said, but I wouldn't want to embarrass you in front of all of these kids. You sure you want that? Oh, I'm sure, I said with a nod. I gave Pebble 1 nether wart and 1 rabbit's foot, then Stump dug a hole and emptied the bucket into it. From left to right, Stump, Runt, Max, and Pebble. Again, it felt like someone was watching me. I addressed the crowd. The brew-off has officially begun. Everyone backed up to watch the show. The chatter grew louder. I raised an empty bottle. We will test the quality of our bottles by brewing potions of leaping, I said. Then we will drink our potions, and the one who jumps the highest. Of course, even if the glass I'd used had somehow been of higher quality, it wouldn't have affected the potion at all. You need extra ingredients for that, like redstone or glowstone dust. I was just bluffing. A lot of the other people in the crowd didn't seem to catch on to this. Probably most of them hadn't paid too much attention in brewing class. Or perhaps they questioned it but weren't sure enough to say anything. After all, Stump was nearby, and his crafting score was really high. Pebbles stepped up to the brewing stand. I'll show you how it's done, kid. He whipped out one of his potions, filled it with water, and brewed an awkward potion with netherwort, and finally a potion of leaping using a rabbit's foot. Ta-da! Focus. The brewing stand bubbled away. After Pebbles' potion finished brewing, he held it up triumphantly. There were a few cheers. And gasps from some of the younger kids. It might have been the first time they'd ever seen a potion. Wow! Cool! It's so shiny! I nudged Stump. Hey, I whispered. Dust me. Oh, right. Stump slipped me some glowstone dust. Luckily, Pablo kept showing off his potion to the crowd. See that? The best bottles in the village. Forget those noobs. Use my bottles or don't brew anything. All eyes were on him. At that point, which allowed me to add some glowstone to my potion of leaping. Without anyone noticing, within 10 or so seconds, I brewed a potion of leaping 2. For when you absolutely, positively need to bounce around like a slime, this would allow me to jump higher than Pebble, since he had only brewed a standard potion of leaping. Yeah, I cheated. But you know what? That guy deserved it. Besides, when the mobs come knocking it on our iron doors again, I highly doubt they're going to play fair. As soon as I brewed my potion, the crowd grew noisier. They wanted us to chug. Pebbles slammed down his bottle, then tossed the bottle aside and glared at me. Bottoms up, noob. I did the same. Immediately after, I felt sick, as if I'd eaten too much ice cream or something. Pebble jumped up into the air. He jumped maybe half a block higher than normal, landed, and jumped again. What's up, kid? I grinned and said. I about to set a new record. That's what's up. Oh yeah? Let's see it. On 3, I said. 1, 2, 3! As I jumped, the word 3 turned into a thin cat-like scream. You see, I jumped kinda high. Like, really high. Honestly, there were better words than jump to describe what I was doing. Really like fly. I'll admit it, I was terrified. Terrified and confused. Why did I leap so high? A potion of leaping 2 should have made me jump 1.5 blocks higher. Not 100. Stump, I said a pinch of glowstone. A pinch! That was when I saw it. The forest. Of course it had grown over the past few days. From up here, I could see how massive it really was. Dark oak trees, tall and thick, stretching forever into the horizon. I thought I saw something moving there. Whatever it was big, but I saw it for only a second. Then the clouds blocked my view. Had I imagined it? I tore my gaze away. I didn't have time to dwell on anything except trying to survive. After landing such a jump, I realized I had no feather falling effect, which was required to survive landing after such a jump. I glanced around, looking for a nearby pool, a canal, anything. As luck would have it, the roof on one of our wells had been taken down. Maybe the builders were about to repair it, or maybe some noob had come into the village and taken it. It seemed like a better spot to land than in the middle of some farmer's crops. Falling. This is how it feels to be a raindrop falling, 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 faster than the prices at my bottle shop. I'd never been this afraid before. The kind of terror, well, time seems to slow down, and the color drains from your vision. The whole thing had a dreamlike quality. One moment, I'm about to show a punk from school I'm the number 2 student. The next, I'm flying through the clouds, where even bats won't go. I suppose these things happen. Monday. First, the good news. I survived. I didn't take a single heart's worth of damage. On top of that, I got a new record book. And still have 17 emeralds left over. Apparently, after I jumped over 80 blocks up, the rest of our bottles sold out in less than a minute. Runt, student, level 52. Mining, 25%, combat 30%, trading 100%, farming 39%, building 71%, crafting 45%. I felt whole again and breathed a sigh of relief. How long has it been since I'd last seen this? 8 days? 9? Well, it felt like forever. I was happy to see that my level had jumped almost as high as I had jumped last night. On to the bad news. I had just arrived at school, right? Went to the head teacher, plunked down 50 emeralds for the book, and I was on my way to class, right? Then I noticed some creepy-looking guy following me. He was trying to act all normal. But come on, how many older guys in black robes and sunglasses do you see walking around a school like mine? I whistled merrily to myself, trying to look innocent. Didn't help. He kept following me down the hall. I walked faster. So he did, until he caught up. A bit windy today, he said. The clouds are sure zooming across the sky. Hearn, that's interesting. Excuse me. I zoomed off down a hallway, through a few doors, lost him. I thought, so what's this? He's an elder. Certainly. Does he want to talk to me about yesterday? Another one soon approached. Good day, Runt. I've heard your scores are really up there. Why, yes, I'd say you're flying high. Thanks, I said. Really, it's nice of you to say that. I turned around to make another run for it, but the first guy was there, blocking my way. Come with us, said the guy without glasses. Immediately. 30 minutes later, I was on the other side of the village, in a cobblestone building with iron doors and iron bars for windows. This place was not a jail. However, it was like a hangout spot for a bunch of old cranky guys who called themselves elders. They led me to a small, featureless room and offered me some pumpkin pie. And so I began my wonderful day. I guess soaring through the sky has its downsides. Mostly, these guys wanted to know how I had managed to do it. Actually, everyone in the village wants to know how I did that, including Steve and Mike. As if I could tell them. I crafted a potion of leaping too. Was all I could say. Sounds like you crafted a potion of leaping 1 billion. The guy with black sunglasses said, My name is Brio, and I simply want to ask you a few questions about yesterday's incident. By a few questions, he meant over 1,000 questions. Stuff like, so how exactly did you put the glowstone dust into the brewing stand? With which hand did you grab the potion with? Does the glowstone have a funny smell? What was the weather like during that exact moment? Can you remember the specific pattern of clouds? Was the sun behind the cloud? Would you like some more pumpkin pie? Were there any chickens around? How about some cookies? Can you show us precisely how you crafted the potion? Recreate your exact movements. I blinked. We'd need a brewing stand for that. Brad pointed to the other guy. Pretend he's the brewing stand. Right. After they were done asking questions, I had one of my own. Brad, yesterday, I thought I saw something walking in that strange forest. Oh? Yeah, the thing was huge. Almost as tall as the trees. Probably shadows playing tricks on your eyes, he said. But maybe it was a zombie. He patted me on the head. Who knows? Yeah, he totally brushed me off. It only got worse from there. When Brad finally let me go, he gave me a book. It's the second school book for this year. Minecraft Golden Rules Handbook. Newville, Volume 2. The teachers handed it out today, but since I wasn't at school, finish it by tonight, Brio said. You might find some good tips in there. This is cruel and unusual punishment. Man, I thought, after today, I'm never going to drink a potion again. Tuesday. Well, Steve went boom today. I guess he finally saw Yerf's book. The whole front cover of him riding a pig in a minecart on his way to Noobtown, of which he is supposedly the mayor. It was just too much for him. So he quiet. He's been wanting to experiment with redstone. Anyway, he said, the mayor will have him working on stuff that stuff from now on. Of course, Yerf was overjoyed. He figured he was going to get his old job back. Sadly, the head teacher wanted to try someone new. I got lost. I say sadly because I'd rather have Yerf than this new combat teacher. Drill is his name. He's an elder, like Yerf, but 100 times grumpier. The first part of his combat class was sprinting 15 laps around the field. That wouldn't have been too bad, but he dug holes around the edge of the combat field and filled them with water. Seriously? Is this guy crazy? Move, you Endermites! I have seen zombies swim faster up waterfalls. It was the most intense combat class I've ever had. After running, we had to swing at practice dummies 500 times. Stump Max and I started beating away at the same dummy. Jill rushed over. I said groups of 2! He screamed and glared at me. You! With her! Then she pointed at her. Breeze. She'd chosen a practice dummy near mine. Of course. And of course, she was all by herself. I could tell it was going to be one of those weeks. But they're my friends, I said. What did you just say, you squid-brained potato jockey? Potato jockey? That's like a chicken jockey except riding a potato. I tried to imagine someone riding a pig-sized potato, and I couldn't. Just couldn't. The very attempt hurt my brain. Then I got angry. Who is she calling a potato jockey? I said they're my... Let me just make this clear. That was a bad choice of words. Now let me be more clear. Any choice of words would have been a bad choice of words. Jill got so angry, he couldn't even speak in full sentences, just single words that spluttered out of his mouth. Give me sigh. After the push-ups, I gave my friends a shrug and joined Breeze. Hey, whatever. It could have been worse. Could have gotten paired with one of Pebble's friends, or that Bumby kid. So Breeze and I swung our swords in silence. My arms already felt like anvils from all the push-ups. So I slowed down. Whenever Jill left our area and sped up, whenever Jill left our area, so I slowed down whenever Jill left our area, and sped up when he came back. Breeze was different. She swung at a steady rate, whether Jill was here or not. In fact, come to think of it, she was one of the few students Jill never shouted at. Even though she never did anything amazing in class, she never drew the angers of the teachers. Either, even this teacher who freaked out over the tiniest thing. In other words, Breeze was invisible, neither good nor bad. A completely average student. That was why I never really noticed her until she started following me around. I mean, I've never seen her use any fancy moves, like that time I landed that huge critical hit and made the dummy's head fly off and roll on the ground with Steve clapping and telling me good job. Afterward, I'm proud of that one, can you tell? Later on, everyone moved to the archery range. I'll just be upfront. I'm a terrible shot. With a bow, I'm a terrible shot with a bow. Give me a big sword, and I'll show you bigger crits. Give me a bow, however, and you're endangering your own life and everyone else's, including mine. How does someone hit themselves with their own arrows? I don't know, but I'm sure I could do it. Here's some proof. This was my shot while standing still, with the motionless target from 30 blocks away. Right here. Right there. Basically, if you need someone to hit a fully grown ghast at a range of 10 blocks, well, I'm your guy. I'm totally your guy, as long as the ghast isn't moving. Outside of that, all I can really do is a bow, to scare mobs with the whistling noise the arrows make. Oh, now it's 11 blocks away. Aim carefully. Breeze did great, though. Breeze did great, though. At first. Anyway, the first 5 arrows she shot were all dead center. 2 were so close. The second arrow split the first in half. That's something I've only seen in storybooks at the library with some crazy villager dressed all in green. Wow! I glanced at her, at the wood target, then back to her. You're amazing! Not really, she said, shaking her head. Her cheeks were pink. Just luck. Maybe it was just luck. Because after that, she never managed to hit red again. So strange. Maybe I made her nervous. Within 10 minutes left until the end of class, we had to do another 15 laps around the field. It started pouring rain. A few kids complained. A shriek of anger flashed across Joe's face, and his voice boomed like thunder. You think the mobs are gonna care about your feelings? Move, you creeper-faced ender babies, move! Nice. Just think tomorrow, I get to do this all over again. Tuesday night, special update. I just woke up in the middle of the night from a crazy dream. I'm going to write down everything I can remember. In the dream, Steve had built some huge redstone contraption. It's a vending machine, he said. We have them back on Earth. And what does it do? I asked. In this case, You drop an emerald into the hopper. Here, select which potion you want, and the potion comes out of the dispenser there. Well, what kind of potions? Well, they're not really potions, so much as flavored drinks. Flavored drinks? Never mind. I studied this strange machine. What happens if you put in something besides an emerald? It rejects it or eats it. But that only happens sometimes. It's a work in progress. It can recognize what kind of item you put into it. Is that even possible with redstone? For a second, Steve's eyes had an almost opalescent shimmer. With enough hard work, anything is possible. Runt. I glanced at the button on the lower right. Mystery. What does this button do? Maybe you should find out. Hearn. I pressed the button. The seam faded. Darkness. Please help me. The wither skeleton said. I'm shredded on a lava island. Why would I help you? You're a mob. You're a noob mob too. Wither skeletons are immune to lava. Aren't they? So just swim to shore. But not all of us are bad. Surely you know that. Also, I can't swim. Please, build a bridge for me. If you help me, I'll help you. Help me how? There's someone you need to meet. Whatever, this is my dream. Go away. Right now, I might be just a part of your dream, but we will meet in the future. By the way, the wither skeleton said, tell Jello I said hi. Darkness. Then I was in an unfamiliar house. 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, were sitting at a table. Who are you guys? I asked. I'm Skylar, said one girl. Katie, said the other. The boy smiled. Ben. The girl named Skylar stood up. Not send us into your dream to give you a message, they said. They pointed out the window. They'll be here soon. You must warn the mayor. He doesn't realize how much danger the village is in. How much danger the village is really in. No one does. I glanced out the window again. So, the trees are coming for us? Ben approached the window. 2. No, not the trees. Them! Isn't it obvious? Who? You aren't too bright, are you, Runt? That came from Katie, who was behind me. Now all 3 began pointing out the window. Look again. Look again! The glass under the trees began rustling, yet everything else was absolutely still. Not even the clouds moved. There was an eerie feeling. It made me sick to my stomach. Then the whole world shook. Slightly, there was a horrible roaring in the sound far in the distance. It's him, said Ben. Yes, he's here. Who? I shouted. Skylar turned to face me. Runt, listen, remember what you saw when you were. The scene cut away. Again, darkness. A man appeared in the inky gloom. He looked like Steve, yet there was something creepy about him. He had no eyes. Rather, his eyes were white. And glowing. White light emerged behind him, and smoke, as if from a massive fire. Something was burning. I am coming for you. The roaring sound came back, deafening this time. The man's eyes grew brighter and brighter until everything was white. Whoa! I sat up in bed, wide awake, and remained like that for a while. An eerie feeling lingered in the edge of my mind. Those three kids said not send them into my dream. Is something like that possible? Are they from Earth? Maybe they play that Minecraft game like Steve and Mike used to. Is our village really in so much danger? We haven't had a mob attack in quite some time. And who was that guy with the glowing white eyes? He didn't seem very friendly. I brushed off the fear. I opened up Jello's item chest and fed him some bread. You don't happen to know a wither skeleton, do you, Jello? I petted him. He was cool to the touch. No, of course you don't. It was just a dream. Wednesday morning. Special update. There was a huge meeting this morning. Lemire finally talked to everyone about the ever encroaching forest. As you are all aware, a vast number of dark oak trees had been growing in the east, he said. The area is considered dangerous. Sunlight won't reach the mobs there, which means they can travel around during the day. We are currently experimenting with ways to deal with this problem. Should the trees grow too close to the village. Don't be alarmed. We've survived many attacks in the past, and we'll survive so many more. This is simply the next step in the mob's strategy, and it's a very obvious one. Briar, the guy with black sunglasses, joined Lemire at the oak block. From now on, the students will face more and more difficult classes, harsher training, and each student must submit an idea to help protect our village. This will be your final test before you graduate. Lemire nodded. Students, you must train your hardest. The mobs are improving quickly. It seems we must. So must we. I've noticed petty squabbles between some of you, and I suggest you end them today. The real enemy lies beyond those walls, not within. That was pretty much it. So the trees allow the mobs to hide from the sunlight. Zombies and skeletons can move around during the day, as long as they stay within that forest. But is there more to it than that? Skylar, Ben, and Katie seem to think so. Later in combat class, I had to be partners with Breeze again. Got to enjoy another hour of being screamed at by Drill, crying through mud, and a weird girl as my partner. Max and Stump had been having a blast in comparison. Needless to say, it has been the worst week of my life. It soon got worse. Briar and Lemire observed the combat class today, and from a distance, after class, Jill spoke with Lemire. Jill said that Breeze and I are such good partners, we should even work together. We should work together every class. That teacher is too mean. Too mean! Call me a potato jockey? Okay, that's fine. I can roll with that. But working with Breeze every day until I graduate? What is this? Such cruelty! Such pain! I complained to the head teacher, but that was useless. He likes Breeze. He thinks she's a great student. But when I mentioned how weird she is, he didn't believe me. In fact, he gave me the run, just invited me to a slumber party and another look. Why does everybody give me that look? Why? Come on. It'll be fun. Bring your own beds. Wednesday night. Another dream. The weird dreams came back tonight. This time, it was the events of Sunday, in reverse. So in a way, it wasn't so much of a dream as it was me remembering things. There wasn't much sound while the scenes played out. Just an eerie static or buzzing noise. Creepy, right? I tried my best to remember what I saw that day. It was like a zombie or a skeleton. Something standing upright, except it was huge. It was almost as tall as the dark oaks. Not even Endermen are that tall. What was it? I couldn't make it out clearly. It was too far away, and my eyes were all watery from the wind. I soon began dreaming for real. No, no, no. No! This dream is not turning into a nightmare. Come on, Runt. This is your dream. You're the boss in here. Control this thing. There we go. Now this is a dream. Yeah! I don't want to wake up. Thursday. Greaves was such a noob today. My new partner did almost everything wrong. One of her potions even exploded in brewing class. Afterwards, she just blinked, sneezed, and said, "Oops." "Wow," Pebble said. "Looks like you two noobs are made for each other." Almost everyone in class laughed. Max and Stump gave me a guilty look. At least they were having fun. Anyway, I had to get away from her. So during lunch, I took off to the school library. I couldn't stop thinking about what I had seen in the forest. Anyway, I wanted to do some research. Mungo the Overlord was the biggest mob that I'd read about. Thinking back, the thing I'd spotted on Sunday could have been a huge zombie. I remember reading about giant zombies. They were super rare. Fast forward an hour, I couldn't find any mobs. Even legendary ones in the library's books that fit what I had seen. Afternoon classes went by in a blur. I didn't even pay attention to Joe's shouts. I just did my push-ups, ran my laps. It was a bit hard to ignore. "I've seen silverfish crawl through cobblestone faster than you!" After school, I told Steve about my sighting. He laughed it off. "Probably just a cow. There might be a few zombies out there, but that's it." The mayor said the same thing. "Want me to modify my plans because you think you saw something?" Stump also blew me off. "We have the potions, dude. Really." His big blue eyes, normally cheerful, were filled with worry. "Can't you just be a normal kid and stop getting into trouble? What happened to just studying hard and becoming warriors?" "Herg, I haven't had a good old-fashioned Herg in a while." However, when I mentioned my dream to Max, he nodded slowly. "I saw something too," he said. "Heard something, rather. The other night, my dad and I had an argument, so I stepped outside and went for a walk. Went to the east wall. Something moaned so loud out there, I had trouble sleeping when I went back home. So I'm not the only one then. How about we go find out? What are you talking about?" "I say we head over there tomorrow night," Max said. "And just sneak out of the village and find out what's in there." "Are you crazy? Maybe after all, what sane person would ever want to fight the mobs for a living?" Stump's words came back to haunt me. Can't you just be a normal kid and stop getting into trouble? What happened to just studying hard and becoming warriors? I told Max that I didn't want to do anything crazy anymore. "Besides," I said, "if the mayor ever found out about this..." "He won't find out," Max said. He clapped his hands together. "It's like this, Runt. Let's say that the mayor's right, and there's nothing out there except some zombies, maybe a skeleton or two. Then we won't be in any danger at all. We've got some potion of invisibility. We'll be totally fine. However, if the mayor's wrong and we're right, then the village really needs to know." I couldn't believe this kind of stuff was coming from Max. But what came next? "I love my village," he said, "and I'm prepared to take minor risks to help the people I love. My family, my friends, the little kids They're playing in the street near my house. I'm not gonna let the mobs get them. He had a kind of strength while he said this, a confidence I'd never seen in anyone else. Not even Steve. It was impossible not to feel moved. And at that point, I understood. These are the words of a warrior. I stood up straighter, nodded, even smiled. Friday night, just after sunset, we crept out of the village after the sun went down. The east wall of the village didn't have a gate, but there was a secret trapdoor that allowed easy passage. We crept through the tunnel and exited into the plains. Max wasn't kidding. When he said he had potions of invisibility, he'd been stockpiling them. I didn't ask where he'd gotten so many golden nuggets. Even a single potion had a pretty steep price. 8 per potion, plus a fermented spider eye. Yet, Max handed me 5 without batting an eye. How long do these potions last? I asked. They're extended, Max said. 8-minute duration. At 5 potions each, we had 40 minutes to snoop around. We chugged a bottle each. At first, it was difficult walking around without seeing our legs or hands. The closer we got to the dark forest, the more my heart sank into my stomach. There was no sound beyond the soft crunching of the grass beneath our feet. This way, Max said. The valley. See it? Yeah. We crept slowly. I could hear him breathing, and he could no doubt hear me. Both of us were afraid. At least this place still has animals, I whispered, pointing. Maybe it's not so bad here. Quiet. What is it? Listen. Quiet. What is it? Listen. We stood there for a long time. At least a minute, although it seemed like forever. Invisible, barely breathing. Then Max's footsteps broke the silence. Let's go. We stepped into the forest. It was gloomy, hard to see, and I regretted not bringing some potions of my own night vision. Saplings, I said. Let's keep going. We crept forward, waited, listened, looked around, and when we felt we had 2 minutes left on our invisibility, we drank another potion each, just to be safe. At one point, I thought I heard a crunching sound. I bumped into Max, almost knocking him over. Forward, he said, real slow. We moved forward, past some big trees, and then I almost screamed. But Max, despite being unable to see me, put his hand over my mouth. He grabbed me, and we both backed up until the mobs were out of sight, and the only crunching sound of the shovel could still be heard. This is insane, Max whispered. The mobs, I was thinking the same thing. I can't believe it. The mobs made this forest? A skeleton was holding a shovel. A zombie was holding a sapling. But they're mobs, not villagers, not earth kids, not noobs or warriors, even iron golems, who often hold flowers the same way that zombies were holding that baby tree, so delicately, with the utmost care. The zombie was acting like he didn't want to damage the sapling's roots. He probably had a respectable farming score. Mobs with farming scores, mobs that know how to farm, how can they? How did they? They've been planting trees. How? How is that even possible? What? They've got farming classes over there in Mob City. Do they? I mean, I assume this forest would be crawling with them. But not the thing they actually created. Boom, boom, boom. The ground was shaking slightly. A massive creature shambled toward the skeleton and the zombie. He must have been at least 6 blocks high. His fists were one block across. Its head was slightly bigger than that. My scientific calculations concluded that this could mean only one thing. Run, 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 run. Let me show you guys the picture one more time. There you go. Saturday. Max and I made it back in one piece. None of the mobs noticed us. Not even the big guy with the tree trunks for arms. We found Stump and told him everything. Of course, none of us had seen or heard of a mob like that. We wanted to know what it was. Max suggested we try to find more information in the library. The 3 of us headed to the biggest library in the village and began looking through a bunch of ancient, dusty books. Bree slipped into the library shortly thereafter. She entered when 2 other kids were leaving to prevent me from noticing her, but I saw her thin form, like a blurred shadow in the dim corner of the library, just as she zoomed behind an aisle of books. Max eventually found what we were looking for. A librarian can come in handy. After all, it was a book with a simple green cover and an even simpler name. Legendary Mobs of Minecraftia. Despite its boring outward appearance, this book was filled with lots of crazy stuff. It's an encyclopedia of the legendary mobs, boss monsters, as they're referred to on Earth. Well, the 3 of us sat around and flipped through its chapters. By the way, all of the mobs in this book were 100% real. Some of them sounded downright terrifying, such as the screaming cow. All living things close enough to hear its cries get the weather debuff. Or the obsidian giant. It's nearly 20 blocks tall and the only weapon that can harm it is a diamond pickaxe. Then I found one that sent a chill down my spine. Yerk Doom Whip. That's our mob, I said. Stump seemed skeptical. You sure? Maybe it was an Enderman. No, this thing was no Enderman, Max said. Every time it walked, it created a mini earthquake. Well, if this guy's really out there, Stump said, then this village is in big trouble. Says here Yerk is a mid-level boss mob. Can take out iron golems without even trying, and can hurl creepers up to 15 blocks for an explosive attack. This ability has earned him the nickname the Creeper Express. Everyone fell silent for a moment, considering these words. Mac then read aloud from the book. First, Yerk is 7 blocks tall. He's got a special bone armor made from the bones of other skeletons. The book estimates that this guy has maybe 3 times the life force of an iron golem. That's a lot of hearts. But the craziest thing about him is his weapon, a modified fishing rod, a special unique item. How he crafted it is still a mystery to Minecrafting sages. It has a longer reach than a normal fishing rod with a fast flying hook. But what makes this fishing rod truly deadly are the pulling two. Yerk's hook. Pulling 2, sharpness 7. And sharpness 7 enchantments, meaning it pulls hook targets closer and deals an incredible amount of damage when it does. I didn't even know a 7th level of sharpness existed, Bree said. All 3 of us looked at her in surprise. Even though I had seen her enter, I'd already forgotten about her. Max shrugged. Boss mobs like this tend to have crazy items and abilities. The fear snuck up on my heart like a creeper that had drunk a potion of invisibility. How can we defend ourselves against this guy? I asked. Max shrugged. Don't get hooked. Come on, I said. There has to be something else. Stump pointed at the bottom of the right page. He has a phobia. Huh? I said. What's that? Max asked. It's another word for fear, Stump said. You know how creepers are afraid of cats, skeletons, dogs? Well, he's got one too. He's afraid of heights. Interesting. Max read some more. So he's terrified of any vertical drop greater than 5 blocks. Suddenly, Stump rose from his chair. What are we doing here? We're just sitting around talking. We've got to go warn the mayor. I figured the mayor would just brush us off, but we had to try. Max grabbed the legendary Mobs book, and went off to the mayor's house. The sound of a distant explosion echoed through the street, and there was a distant roar, which have only come from the gigantic pigman, Yerk. I drew my wooden sword, remembering Max's words. Friends, family, the little kids who play in the street, no Bobs are going to get them. This giant noob named Yerk is going down. Saturday, Battle Part 1. Ever been in a big village just before sunset? Ever watched all the villagers scrambling around, desperately trying to get home before the sun went down? Well, after the explosions, our village was like that, only in reverse, and with a lot of screaming. Despite weeks of intense training, we just weren't prepared. It was total chaos. Smoke was rising in the east, and almost no one wanted to stick around for the mobbed little surprise party. Well, some did. Some were actually running towards the smoke, like fish swimming upstream. My friends and I fell into the last category. Call us foolish, or foolhardy, or simply fools. Call us whatever you want. But we're determined to crash that party. The thing is, our anger towards the mob goes way back, a long way before the slime bombings. All those years of living in fear, unable to sleep, listening to the spiders shrieking, the skeletons rattling. We'd had enough. We decided that we weren't just going to put up with it anymore. I won't provide a detailed narrative for this battle. Not too many, he said. We decided that we weren't going to put up with it anymore. I won't provide a detailed narrative for this battle. Not too many he says, she says, I did this, he did that. To be honest, I can't remember much. It was just a blur. In those first moments, I, like everyone else, was struggling to accept the cold, hard reality. In broad daylight, with barely a cloud in the sky, mobs had launched the biggest attack in the history of the village. Saturday Battle, Part 2. The first thing I noticed was the zombies weren't burning in the sunlight. They were shambling in the distance, without so much as a spark emitting from them. It was their armor. Some were fully suited in leather. A few were even in iron. Regardless of what they wore, though, every single one was equipped with at least a helmet. Some zombies wore a helmet and a pair of boots without a tunic or leggings, which was just bizarre. Not scary, just bad fashion sense. Anyway, I'd missed the terror and confusion. I remembered hearing about how a helmet can protect a zombie from the sun. Which brings us to our first interesting point. A zombie wearing any sort of armor is quite rare, let alone an army of zombies wearing armor. Consider how much work it must have taken to outfit them all. I mean, yeah, have you ever tried crafting a full suit of leather armor? It's an epic quest. You need like 50 cows, which means feeding cows over and over, what seems like forever, and the whole time you're listening to that endless mooing, and we're wondering if you have enough wheat. You're going to check your crops at night, thinking, are those torches close enough? Should I use bone meal? Should I gather more seeds? Should go to those plains over there and take out some horses for extra leather. Until Friday, stop farming for leather altogether and go in a cave, because why not? The truth is, you could get iron faster. By the way, that's just for one set of leather armor. How about 100? That's the estimated number of zombies in full leather that attacked our village today. Knowing that, one must ask, where did they get the materials? It meant they were farming cows. It meant somewhere in Minecraftia, there was a cow farm. A farm quite possibly the size of our entire village. Tended by various mobs. It also meant they were mining and smelting iron. Not only did they have the resources for such a massive number of items, but they also knew how to craft them as well. So they probably have zombie blacksmiths, zombie miners, zombie butchers, zombie armorers, zombie crafters, zombie builders, zombie cooks, zombie bakers, zombie advanced redstone engineers. Every zombie, every possible profession you could possibly ever think of. And why stop at zombies? There's somewhere out there's probably a charge creeper lumberjack. Meet Creepo Jack. He's so manly he swings his axe with his teeth. His teeth! And when his axe finally breaks, he just explodes, providing easy for harvesting for the next guy. Nothing won't surprise me anymore. But hey, all this is just preparing me for the real world, you know? At least this way, if I ever see a slime fisherman, I won't freak out. Or be shocked. Or offend him by asking how a slime could possibly be a fisherman, since he has no arms. Instead, I'll just plunk down next to him, whip out my own fishing rod, and ask if he's had any bites. Skeleton librarians, enderman shepherds, I could accept all of that. There was one possibility I couldn't, though. What if some of those zombies have a better combat score than I do? Zombie warriors? No way! I refuse to believe it! With sudden anger, I cut into a zombie with my wooden sword. Saturday, Battle Part 3. This, of course, brings us to our next point. You see, after I attacked that zombie, well, it attacked me. Who knew? Let me tell you, that single moment was worth more than 2 or 3 days worth of intro to combat. Steve was a great teacher, but don't get me wrong. That drug guy scares me to no end. But that zombie gave me a hands-on lesson on just how strong zombies actually are. My vision flashed bright red. A wave of pain flooded my senses. The life bar in the bottom of my vision reduced by 2 hearts. The courage I felt just moments ago vanished like an enderman in the rain, like water in the nether, like mushrooms in sunlight, like a waterfall after someone scooped up the spring block with a bucket. Actually, that last example is a bit slow, isn't it? Yeah, never mind. Anyway, I was knocked back from the sheer force of the zombie's attack. Just then, a horrifying thought hit me real. This is real. I'm 20% closer to vanishing in a puff of smoke. If I make too many mistakes, if I let Mr. Stinky Pants remove every last heart from my life bar, that's it. After that, I felt impossibly heavy and cold, like an anvil in my stomach and ice blocks in my veins. For a moment, an intro to combat went right out the window. So did Sir One, the World Warrior, and everything in between. I forgot everything. Everything I'd ever learned, everything that Steve had ever taught me, and everything Jill had ever drilled into my head. Gone, like an enchanted diamond sword accidentally dropped into lava. In fact, I almost ran. My defense, the number of mobs out there was enough to make an iron golem cry. In the words of Yerf, "This is bad," he said in a deep, terrified voice. In addition, he made a deeper grunting sound before saying this, which I cannot replicate with words or letters. Perhaps something similar to what a pigman might sound like when struck in the butt by lightning. Then he ran into a nearby house and peeked out the window with the most ridiculous expression on his face. He reminded me with a creeper that had gone to that had to go to the bathroom really bad. In contrast, Joe was at his angriest. Somewhere in the distance, he was shouting so loud my ears hurt from where I was standing. "Hold the line, you rabbit jockeys! Get in formation!" Whatever. No one was listening to him. Everyone was too shaken, too confused, and way too preoccupied. It was like this. Everywhere you looked, kids from school, the best of friends, fighting back to back as zombies trudged endlessly forward. Chris and Kevin, Joanne and Jamie, twin sisters, and fighting in one big group. Kristen, Brennan, Marco, Beth, Jackson, Jen, Tanisha, and a kid nicknamed Camouflage Boy. They all fought valiantly, oblivious to Joe's shouts. Besides, no matter how many times he ordered us to hold the line, there was simply no line to hold. Zombies were everywhere. Things looked really grim until Stump freaked out. That is, "I hope you brought an anvil," he said to a zombie, "because you're gonna need it to repair your face 10 times after this." With a loud cry, he slammed the zombie back again and again. The zombie actually tried to run before it crumbled into light gray dust. I will stop there. I will make a part 3 on this book. So we stopped on page 120. So let me put this straight. So I make my videos. I try to post videos every day. So one audiobook one day, and then another book for Arsenal. So I will do tomorrow. I hope it uploads tomorrow, an Arsenal video. The next Arsenal video will just be gameplay and stuff like that. So I hope you guys like this video, and bye.